This lesson, trying to find what percentage of a number is another number. What percentage of a number is another number? So let's take the first example. What percentage of 50 is 25? Let's solve this. First, the total we are considering is 50. So 25 out of 50. What is its percentage equivalent? That is the question. What percentage of 50 is 25? So 25 over 50 times 100%. Let's do cancellation. 25 goes into itself 1, goes into 50 2 times. 2 goes into itself 1, goes into 100 50 times. All what we are left here with is 1 times 50%. So the answer is 50%. That's the simplest way you can do it. But I love to reason this out from a point where I don't know the percentage and how to write everything. But I know that I can let a variable represent what I'm looking for. And in this question, it's percentage. So I can say let x percent be the percentage I'm looking for. X percent of 50, 25. What I wrote here, by converting the question, which is in English, to mathematics. What percentage of 50 is 25? What percentage of, I'm saying x percent. I don't know it. I'm using a variable called x. Now we know from a previous lesson that x percent means x over 100. And also of means multiplication. So x percent of 50 is x over 100 times 50 and is 25. Okay, now let's do our manipulation. 50 goes into itself 1, goes into 100 2 times. So I'm left with what? X over 2 equals to 25. And since what I'm looking for is x, just have to take away the denominator of 2 from the x. To do that, I multiply both sides of the equation by the denominator, which is 2. Then these 2 cancel this 2. This gives me x equals to 25 times 2 is 50. So it means that, we come up here, it means 50% of 50, 25. Exactly as we got here. If you understand this first one, very easy. And this second method, can use it to solve any question. Don't know something, don't know something, use a variable to represent it. Let's look at another equation. What percentage of 200 is 50? What percentage of 200 is 50? So, the first approach, which is the easiest approach, have 50 over 200 times, since we are converting into percentage, times 100%. And cancel things out, we do it here. Looking at this 100 here, and cancel this 200 two times. This same 2 here, and cancel 50 25 times. So you're left with 25%. Very simple. Then let's use the other method where we transform a question, which is English, into a mathematical statement. What percentage of 200 is 50? Let X represent the percentage. So X percent of 200 is 50, which means X percent times 200 is 50. So this X over 100 times 200 equal to 50. At this stage, we do cancellation. 100 goes into itself 1, goes into 200 two times. So we are left with 2 times X is 2X equals to 50. And since we are looking for X, divide both sides by 2. This 2 here cancels this 2. This 2 here cancels this 50 25 times. It means my X is 25. Then we go back and answer the question. X percent of 200 is what? 50. So this means 25% of 200 is 50. 25% is our answer. Let's take two more questions. Let me wrap this up. You scored 18 marks out of 30 in a test. You scored 18 marks out of 30 in a test. What percentage did you score? What percentage did you score? This is a real life application question. You scored 18 marks out of 30 in a test. So 18 out of 30, that is your score. And this is what you write on your script. Now let's convert this to percentage by multiplying it by 100%. All right, let's do some cancellation. First, 3 goes here 10 times, 3 goes here 6 times. What else can happen? 10 goes here 1, 10 goes here 10 times. The next thing I can do is to say 6 times 10. 6 times 10%, which gives me 60%. So it means your 18 out of 30 is equivalent to 60%. Let's assume we are transforming this English statement into a mathematical statement. So first, what percentage did you score? We don't know. So let X represent the percentage that you scored. I say X percent. What is the total marks? 30. So X% of 30 is what you had, 18. So we have X% times 30 equal to 18. This gives us X over 100 30, 18. 10 goes here 3 times. 10 goes here 10 times. Simplifying it further, we have 3 times X, 3X over 10 equals to 18. Let's multiply through by 10, which is the denominator here, in order to clear the denominator. We have 10, 3x over 10 equals to 18 times 10. So this 10 cancels this. We now have 3x equals to 180. Divide through by 3. We have 3x by 3 equals to 180 by 3. This cancels this. 3 goes into itself 1, goes into 180 60 times. So it means we have x to be 60. So x equals to 60. Whichever method you use, you must get the same answer. Let's look at this question. A phone originally cost 500, but is now sold for 400. A phone originally cost 500, but is now sold for 400. What percentage, what percentage of the original price is the new price? What percentage of the original price is a new price? So, to do this, what is the new price? New price is 400. The original price, 500. So, what percentage of the original price, percentage of the original price is the new price? Simply tell me, you just write 400 over 500 times 100%. Then you do your cancellation. So 5 goes into, instead of 1 goes into 400. How many times? 80. So the answer will not be 80%. This solution is just knowing. You know that this is how it is done. But also, if you don't know and you want to model the question from English to mathematics, first, what do we know? We know the new price, which is 400 cedis. Know the original price, which is 500. Now, you see what percentage? We know the percentage, don't know. So use a variable, say X percent to represent it. So now let's model the equation. It means X percent of 500 is 400. This means X over 100 times 500 equals to 400. Let's do some calculations. 100 cancel yourself 1, also 500 5 times. Simplifying this further, we have 5x equal to 400. What we want is x. So let's take the 5 away from the x. So we divide both sides by 5. This 5 cancel itself. 5 goes into itself 1, goes into 480 times. So it means our x is 80. So we come back to answer the question. Since we have 80%. That's what we got earlier. Whichever method you use, you should get the same answer. Try the next question yourself.